Hi guys, Shawn here from Digidirect. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Olympus 300mm f4 prime lens. This is a brand new super telephoto prime from Olympus. Olympus is claiming that this is their sharpest lens ever, which is a big claim, so we'll see if we can determine that. But let's start by looking at the lens itself. So 300mm, that's pretty far, but one thing I want to clarify off the front is keep in mind that this is on a micro four thirds sensor. So any Olympus camera or any Panasonic camera, because this lens will also fit on any Panasonic camera, they use micro four thirds size sensors. So if you want to compare that to, say, a full frame sensor, like a Canon 5D for example, you multiply the focal length by 2. So that means that on a full frame equivalent, this is a 600mm lens. So this is just like a really far telephoto lens. So very zoomed in. It's going to be excellent for nature, particularly birds, wildlife, as well as sports and other things of that nature. And now one of the main physical features of this lens is its size. It's for a lens that is, remember, a 600mm equivalent, a very small and light lens. I've got it pictured here on an EM1 body with the additional battery grip on there. And you can see that this is I could handhold this, and in fact I did. All the sample photos that you'll see throughout this video, I shot completely handheld. No tripods, no monopods, no nothing. So put that in comparison to, say, a 600mm f4 Canon lens, and this Olympus lens is about a third of the size. You know, the Canon 600mm f4 is just under 4 kilograms. This Olympus lens is just under 1.5 kilograms. So you're looking about a third of the size and weight of any comparable, Canon 600mm, Nikon 600mm, so on. So that sizing, along with the amazing image stabilization that Olympus has put into this lens, which we'll touch on in a moment, means that this is a completely hand-holdable 600mm equivalent lens, which is really saying something. That's very impressive. Okay, but the lens itself has an f4 constant aperture, which is about what we'd expect of a lens of this telephoto length. It's one of Olympus's pro level lenses, so that's the same as their 8mm fisheye, 7-14mm, 12-40, and 40-150. So it's the same build quality as those lenses, which is excellent. Very sturdy build. It's weather sealed. It has the manual focus snapback ring that we see on those other lenses. So it's an autofocus when the ring is normal, or you can snap it back and then it automatically kicks it into manual focus, where you've got a bit of distance markings around the edges of that as well. And if we look on the side of the lens, we can see that it has a number of switches on here, one of them being the image stabilization. So let's touch on that for a minute. This is the first Olympus lens that has built-in image stabilization in the lens itself. Now, if you're familiar with Olympus bodies, the reason that no other Olympus lens has image stabilization is because the image stabilization is in the bodies. So the sensor itself is stabilized. It's Olympus's 5-axis, well, if you have the EM5 Mark II, EM10 Mark II, or EM1, it's their 5-axis stabilization system. So this is the first time we've seen additional stabilization in the lens, and the reason is because it's just such a long telephoto lens. So how is this going to work? Well, by itself, the lens itself will have 4 stops of image stabilization, which straight up, that's pretty impressive right off the bat. However, if you have either an EM5 Mark II or an EM1, you can use what's called sync image stabilization. And that's where the in-body image stabilization and the lens image stabilization sync together, giving you a total of 6 stops of image stabilization. That's very impressive stuff. That's a huge amount of image stabilization. And obviously on a lens of this telephoto length, that comes in very handy. So just to give you an example of that, here's some video that I shot while simply hand holding the lens. Again, no tripod, no monopod. I've just got the camera up to my eye and I'm holding the lens with my hands. You can see, again, keep in mind, we're at a 600mm equivalent in full frame. This is very stable. I wouldn't necessarily use this video if I was shooting a video, but it just demonstrates how well the picture is stabilized. You can see I can even track the tram that's traveling on the left side of the screen there by adjusting the manual focus ring at the same time as I'm holding it stable. So just very impressive performance from the image stabilization. And again, once you tie that in with the size and weight of the lens, which is very small, you've got a really good handheld super telephoto package. So that definitely really impressed me. Another feature that I found very, very impressive was the close focusing distance on this lens. Again, very telephoto, however, the close focusing distance is 1.4 meters. That's very, very close for a lens of this length. And what this allows you to do basically is gets you into the realm of telemacro work. So it really kind of has a dual function there. And the macro shots look great, really, really good. So that's very cool to see as well on this lens. Just gives it another aspect that you can use it for. And tying into that is the fact that we have this focus control switch on the side of the lens. So this is going to help specify where the autofocus is going to look based on how close or far away you might want to be focusing on. So you can have it cover the entire range from 1.4 meters to infinity, or you can have it cover just, stuff that's far away or stuff that's just close up to you. So that will help with speeding up the autofocus when you're specifically focusing on either close or far subjects. Other physical aspects of the lens that we see is the customizable function button that's also on other pro lenses. This can be customized to be any feature you want. We also see a tripod foot and ring here. Now this is removable, and when you do take it off, Olympus also ships with the lens what they call a decorative ring, and that basically just covers up where the tripod foot goes so it doesn't look like there's a big piece missing. So that's nice. The tripod foot also is, the foot itself is an ARCA plate compatible shape. So if you have a tripod that uses an ARCA plate, you can put the foot directly onto the tripod with no additional plates or so on. If you don't have a tripod like that, that's fine. There's obviously a screw in the bottom to attach whichever plate you like. Also at the front, we've got this nifty built-in lens hood option, which we've seen on, for example, the 40 to 150 from Olympus before. Nice and easy, compact, allows you to easily slide the lens cap on and off, minimizes the time that you might be spending taking the lens cap on and off. So that's nice to see. Okay, let's talk about image quality. I mentioned Olympus claims that this is their sharpest lens ever. I have to agree with that. It's an astoundingly sharp lens. And not only sharp just in the center, it's sharp corner to corner across the whole frame, and it's sharp wide open at f4. Previously, the Olympus 75mm has been considered their sharpest lens. I personally own that lens. I think it's excellent, but I have to concede that this 300mm is sharper. So just a really, really excellent performance in terms of image quality coming out of this 300mm lens. One extra point I want to mention here is that the 300mm lens here is compatible with Olympus's MC-14 1.4 times teleconverter. So you can toss the teleconverter on here. You'll lose one stop of light, but you'll get an additional reach in your lens. So if we're talking in micro four third terms, that brings it from 300mm to 420mm. Full frame equivalent, that means it's an 840mm equivalent lens, which is just insane. That's very, very zoomed in. You can see some shots here that I've done without the teleconverter and the same shot with the teleconverter, so you can see what that actually means practically speaking. One additional point though, so you've got that extra focal reach when you put on the teleconverter. However, the close focusing distance remains the same. It's still 1.4 meters. So that means you can get even closer macro shots. And again, here's some photos showing macro shots at the closest focusing distance without the teleconverter and with the teleconverter, so you can see what difference that makes. So that's another element that you can add if you want to increase the reach even further. So I feel like this video has been overwhelmingly positive, and I really have to say that's just the case. This is just an excellent, excellent lens. Almost every feature about it, Olympus has just knocked it out of the park. It's, exceptional sharpness, very good build quality. The image stabilization on it and the size and weight in general means that having a 600mm equivalent lens is actually a possibility to carry around and not be an insane prospect. Also, the telemacro ability is a nice bonus, and the compatibility with the 1.4 teleconverter is great. This is obviously a bit of a specialist lens. Not every casual camera owner needs a 300mm or 600mm equivalent lens in their lineup, but for people who will use it, I can definitely say that the quality on this lens will not let you down. This is an astoundingly high quality lens. Very, very good job from Olympus here across the board. If you want to learn more about the 300mm, come into one of our stores. We've got stores in the Sydney CBD, Bondi Junction, Miranda, Melbourne CBD, Brisbane CBD. You can also order the Olympus 300mm on our website at www.digidirect.com.au. Take care, guys.